Hello, everybody. My name is Amy Weinberg. I'm joining from National PTA here in Alexandria, Virginia. I see we've got people joining the call. I'm hoping that you can all hear me. And I'm just testing out our logistics here. I see there's 10 of you on the call. I'm going to see if I can unmute you, mute you, play around with it for a second here. And we'll be just getting started in a minute as other folks are joining on. We have 11 folks. We'll get started here in just a moment. Melinda, are you on the call?
I am. Can you hear me?
I can. I just successfully unmuted you, and it looks like we've got 11 folks on the call so far. We had 30 people register, so I'm just going to give it another couple minutes. I'm going to start the recording now. This webinar will be recorded, so you can go back, you can share it with your team, other folks can access it at a later date, and this will be going up on our toolkit as well for your reference. So again, this webinar will be recorded. So again, my name is Amy Weinberg. I'm here at National PTA as part of the Programs and Partnerships team, and I'm managing the School of Excellence program this year. So first of all, welcome to the program and congratulations. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so looking forward to working with you this year to help you improve those family school partnerships. And I'm so happy to be here at National PTA as well. Since I'll be working with you throughout the school year, I'll introduce myself a little bit, just to some background. I am originally a classroom teacher, so I worked with English language learners in the classroom and then became a director of educational programs. So I've been working in the educational field my entire career, and this is just such an opportunity to work at National. I have a 5-year-old daughter who just started kindergarten here in Virginia, so I'm officially a proud PTA member now, and again, just really happy to be part of the program. So thank you for those of you who are just tuning in. Welcome to the program. Today we're going to be talking about the School of Excellence program, step number 2, deploying your baseline survey. And I didn't want to do this by myself. I feel real strongly that those who have experienced the program should be a part of this. So I have invited Melinda Samberson, who represents Cobb Middle School PTA in Texas, to join me here as a co-presenter. Melinda represents Cobb Middle School, which was ranked as our #1 School of Excellence last year and earned the 2017 Phoebe Apperson Hearst Award, National PTA's highest honor. So thanks to Melinda and her team, Cobb Middle will receive $2,000, national recognition, and a chance to come to our national convention this year. So we're so happy to have Melinda here with us to share her expertise in the program. We're going to be talking a little bit throughout a couple of slides, but Melinda and I will be here to answer the questions that you might have. So I'll let Melinda introduce herself, but feel free as we're going through, to please, write those questions in those question comments so we can access them. Okay, so go ahead, Melinda. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. As Amy said, I'm Melinda Samberson. I am president of the Frisco ISD Council of PTAs in the Frisco Independent School District in Frisco, Texas. It is a suburb of North Dallas. It is it's kind of been known in the last year and a half, I guess, as the home of the Dallas Cowboys. They've put their practice facility in our city, and so we're very proud of that. And it's in conjunction with our school district, and it's just a really good partnership. I have 3 boys in our district. I have one in elementary who is 9 in 4th grade. I have a 7th grader who is 12, almost 13, at the middle school level, and then I have a high schooler just starting 9th grade. and he is almost 15. And so I have the pleasure of being at 3 different schools and getting to experience 3 different carpools. And so that's been a treat, as you can imagine. I am also, as the council president, I don't know how the districts are around y'all, if around the states are split up, but our council represents 59 local PTAs, and that's how Texas does their PTA division as a resource. We're a resource for those 59 PTAs, and then there's other councils that represent other schools. This is my 10th year to serve as a PTA board member. I've held various positions, including president at the elementary and middle school levels. Obviously, middle school, I was at Cobb Middle School 2 years, and the second year we did the School of Excellence program that we were just thrilled to receive the honor. And then I'm also a graduate of Texas PTA's Emerging Leaders Academy. So I'm just grateful to be here to help you guys in any way that I can and answer your questions, and hopefully you all will be a School of Excellence too.
Thank you, Melinda. So for those of you who had just joined, I'm sorry I was trailing off there. I'm trying to answer questions as we go, but hopefully you can all hear us and see us fine. This will be recorded. We'll put this up on our toolkit for later reference. I've silenced everybody just because, just to keep noise down, but we'll save lots of time at the end for questions. And I encourage you, if you're at your computer, to write your questions into the question box, and we'll be opening it up for questions at the end. There should be plenty of time to answer specific questions that you might have. Okay, so let's, without further ado, get started here. So again, we'll just share briefly about the program, the steps in the process, and this second step of deploying your baseline survey. Here on this slide, you can see our steps to excellence. We'll be talking mainly about deploying your baseline survey, but hopefully you've had the chance to start completing step number 1 in enrolling, which I believe you all have, and gaining support. Hopefully you've received our welcome emails. They've come to your email box from communications@pta.org, so check that spam if you haven't received anything. And you've accessed our digital toolkit that encompasses our program leader guide and other tools for the program, as well as a detailed outline of the steps in the process. And you're building your team. You're getting that program started, as it's a really important part of the step to make sure that you've got the more people you have, the more that you can accomplish in this program. And I'll have Melinda attest to that in a bit. But so you can see on your screen in the steps to excellence, this part of the process, step number 2, deploying your baseline survey, is key in the program steps. You'll be administering the survey once at the beginning of the school year and once towards the end of the school year. So it's a really important step in the process. Once you've submitted those results to National PTA Online, you'll receive a customized roadmap to excellence with recommendations to help you develop and implement action. So your goal is to put together an action plan that's unique to your school and your school community needs. The goal of the survey is to gauge perceptions of family-school partnerships from your entire school community, and we'll talk about who those people are in just a second. And again, you'll be administering the survey twice, allowing you to see how the perceptions have changed over time and how your efforts have paid off. So it's not an exact science, but we found it's a great way for you to learn about your school community needs. A little bit about the survey questions themselves. In the School of Excellence program, the goal is for PTAs to partner with schools to examine how your families feel the school measures up to research-based indicators of our national standards for family-school partnerships. So seen here are our 6 national standards for family-school partnerships. The questions that you're going to deploy to your school community are based off of these 6 national standards. Because of that, and because you'll be deploying the survey at the beginning of the school year and then again at the end of the school year, we ask that you do not change or edit the survey questions, as your results will give you a baseline to compare your progress to later in the year. That said, and we get this question a lot, please feel free to add open-ended responses or additional questions that are unique to your school's needs. So if you have extra questions that you want to ask, please go ahead and do that. Just make sure that those first 20 questions are the National PTA questions that we provide, which we'll show you here in just a second. At the end, after you've collected your results, we will collect the tallied results or the highest response rate for those 20 survey questions, which we'll get into here in a little bit. But the results that you get back, those detailed survey results, we hope will give you a lot of information about your school community and what they see and experience. And here they are. So on this slide, you can see on the left, you see a sample family letter. This is in Word under your digital toolkit. So you should have access to that digital toolkit online. Enrollees for the School of Excellence program should have received that link. It's pta.org/excellence-tools. And here you can find a sample family letter that you can change. So please do edit this letter, make it familiar for your school community. You can shape it differently to send it out to your teachers and administrators. This is just a sample for you to use, and we did provide that in Spanish as well. You can also find on that digital kit our baseline survey questions. So to the right of your screen, you can see those 20 questions. If you have been part of the program in the past, you can see that we've limited the questions by a few to make it a 2-page, it should fit on 2 pages max. So that was some feedback that we received, and hopefully we've made some good changes to the program materials for you. So again, these are your baseline survey questions found on the digital toolkit. We ask that you do not manipulate those baseline survey questions, but you can edit that family letter. And these tools are available for you both in English and in Spanish. So next we have survey deployment. And we tried to create these slides in this training based on the questions that we've gotten. So hopefully we'll answer some of your questions as we go through. But again, if you're just joining us, feel free to add your questions into the question bar. We'll be getting to those at the end of our training here. But survey deployment. So you should be deploying that survey to your school community now in September. We'll be collecting those results through an initial application as our next step in October. So we really want to make sure that you're now deploying that survey and to your entire school community. And that school community includes your families, your administrators, your teachers, anyone who can give you feedback on those family-school partnerships. National PTA does not require a specific number of responses that you get back, but we highly recommend that you provide these surveys to all of your families, and that you get these results back from as many families as you can possibly get back, because we believe that the more you put out, the more you get in return, the better understanding you'll have on your school needs, and the more comprehensive and accurate your results and your action plan will be. So try to get this survey out to as many of your school families and community members as possible. Methods. The method of how you deploy these questions will be dependent on what works best for your PTA school and your family members. While some PTAs opt to deploy the baseline survey by paper, and you can do that again just by copying from our digital toolkit, these 2 things right here, and just get these out back and front by paper. Others choose to do it with an online survey tool like SurveyMonkey, SurveyFace, Google Forms. It will be totally up to you, and we leave that up to your discretion because we found that schools have different needs and different capabilities. Others have their own memberships to certain things, so whatever works for you will be what works best for your school community. It's in your hands. Some PTAs do a combination of both. They'll deploy the survey by paper and they'll deploy the survey online. Just make sure that you have time in the end to go back and analyze those results. If it's not all done online, for example, it might take some more time for you to tally and really look at those results that come in. And I'll open up the floor to Melinda here, who's had that hands-on experience in deploying her survey, promoting her survey, and looking at those results. So Melinda, feel free, take it away.
All right, great, thanks. Well, we used Google Forms at our school. which then automatically translated all the answers to Google Sheets, which then you can download it as an Excel spreadsheet. And so then we were able to tally all those columns electronically to be able to get that portion done. And it kind of gives you a good view of, and I did a lot of color coding just to kind of separate the columns and separate the categories, and highlighted the unknowns versus the always, areas where we knew we needed to work on those categories. And then we also, with the support of our principal, she sent this out to her staff, and then several of them chose to then print it and fill it out and then turn it in. And so we had a couple different ways. Those paper copies, just remember that you then have to tally all of those manually. And so you're looking, I just went through one by one and kind of tallied on the sheet, and then I added them all up. And it's a lot of work, but it is so worth it. You could get a team to do this. And I think that the team approach is the best way to go, because then your team is all engaged in it, in the process, so that they then know what to do on the long term, and when you're doing the rest of your work to gain this designation. We also shared this electronic link via our newsletter and all of our social media avenues. So we use Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. Our school sent it out in their email. They send out a weekly newsletter on Sundays. And so that link was in there that highly encouraged all families to join, because, you know, sometimes our newsletters as a PTA don't reach every single family on campus, but the schools do. And so it is a definite partnership with the school. And so if your principal is on board with this, it will go very well. And then once we shared it again, and we shared it again, and then we communicated last chance. I think we extended the deadline one of the times, as we just really were hoping for a little bit more, and so we maybe extended it one more time so that we could get our results in to National PTA when they needed them to get our roadmap. And so it's just a process, you know, just do your best, and if you do the paper copies, I think that's great too. I mean, nobody says you have to use the electronic way of doing things, but if you have a highly digital, kind of digitalized school, then you may try all different kinds of methods to reach all your audience in different ways, and maybe they'll see it and on Facebook one afternoon when they're sitting in carpool or something like that, and fill it out quickly for you. And just keep in mind too that it is a team effort. It's a team effort to analyze the results. You want to start thinking about your goals. Like I said, like if you have your team doing this together, then they are all engaged in the outcome. And you know, if you can get your entire board and then get some committee members from your membership, you know, everybody that is willing to help, grab them up and use them, because I mean, it just makes your school better.
Thank you. All right, great. And again, there'll be time to ask Melinda. We'll call it a session. Ask Melinda. So Melinda mentioned that they did a combination of both. So here you can see two examples. So on the left, you can see how one of our PTAs last year used the online tool SurveyFace. So this is an example of the kind of results to one of the questions that you can see. It's all done for you. It's nice and you know, calculated automatically. So if you can do that, great. But again, if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. On the right side, you can see how one of our PTAs last year hand tallied their results. This is an Excel document that they put together. So they used those paper copies and literally counted. That's 39 of their 39 of their school community members said that their school had friendly signs. So for National PTA, we're going to collect that highest number, the highest ranked category for each question. So for example, this if you look at the Excel sheet on the right, we would be collecting, number 1 would be always, and we're looking at that highest ranked number. Number 2 would be unknown. Number 3 would be always. They have 71. They have the highest ranked category. We know that you're going to get a lot more results than what we're looking for. You're going to get a lot more information from your survey results, but we're going to look for that highest tally number, and then we're going to ask you to submit to us just proof that you did tally these. It could be a handwritten scribbly form from your PTA meeting. It could be your survey face results, your Google Forms results, whatever that may look like, just so we can make sure that our PTAs are doing their due diligence to sit down and tally those results. So as Melinda mentioned, the next step would be submitting your results. So again, we want you to deploy this survey in September and submit those results in October. You'll submit those results to us at National PTA through an initial application. The initial application must be submitted online to be considered, and you'll be able to access that through the digital toolkit. And as manager of the program, I'm really trying to make sure that you have everything at your fingertips when it comes to that digital toolkit, including all the next steps that are coming, any kind of recorded trainings that we do. Everything should be there, sample tools. There will be a sample roadmap so you can see that. So I'm trying to get everything up on that digital toolkit. There you can see a sample application, so you'll be able to see what's expected of you. Just make sure that you know that you'll be submitting that application online, not by paper form, so that you can be considered. You will then use those results, and somebody asked this question earlier, so this might be answering their question. Somebody asked, do the survey questions determine your focus area? So this program is really set in the idea that it's helping your PTA create goals and objectives for your school based on your community responses. So the results of your survey will help you determine what those goals and objectives will be. So once you submit that initial application, you'll receive a roadmap to excellence with resource guide. It's basically a resource guide with recommendations on next steps based on your specific results. So you'll, again, use the feedback from your school community to start creating goals and objectives for the school year. It's okay if those goals and objectives do change throughout the school year. So we'll get to that here in just a second as well. The next steps in the program will be to follow that roadmap. So basically, work on that action plan, make sure that that action plan is grounded in best practice for family engagement. We'll be talking more about that throughout the program. And then you'll use the guide to determine your priorities and next steps in creating and implementing action for your school, a school improvement plan, if you will, based on that feedback. We expect that you'll meet regularly with your excellence team to talk about the goals. And again, if you change your focus, that's okay. So you'll be just making sure that your focus and your work is aligned with best practices and national standards and family engagement. There'll be a training on that as well. Towards the end of the school year, you'll deploy the survey again to see if progress has been made. So you're going to ask your school community if they see any changes in family engagement strategies at your school based on those actions that you've taken. At the end of the school year, you'll submit to us a final application with a supporting narrative that's going to hold some weight there that showcases your greatest accomplishment as part of the program. So you'll be able to really talk about what it is that you've done and how you've made progress using this program. And I'll open it up here to Melinda to share any tips on the process and the action that she's taken.
All right, thank you. All right, so we stressed teamwork earlier, and teamwork is super important in this particular area as well. Collaboration with your team brainstorming, I met with a few of my board members, and we just went through that entire roadmap together, every single one, even for when we had always, and it said, you're doing a great job kind of thing. We still looked at that. Well, okay, let me back up. So first what we did is we went to where were we struggling, and so we had a lot of unknowns for certain areas, and so those were where we strategized first, and then we went to those that were anything less than always. So I forget what the middle columns were. I have mine pulled up here. Sorry, let's see. It was, I think, frequently was one of the choices. So anything that was unknown all the way up to frequently, we then focused on. And then after that, we went back and looked at the always pieces as well, just so that we could form our goals and our strategies to accomplish those things that we really needed to work on, but we wanted to keep doing those things that we always did, that people recognized as key to our family engagement, and really up our game and make those better. And so we just kind of we did a lot of brainstorming. But I will tell you, in that brainstorming meeting, if you have one, go ahead and have somebody take notes, just every single thing that you guys discussed. It doesn't have to be pretty. But that was really key, going back to that when I was writing that narrative. You want notes through the whole entire process. So you take all your notes about the brainstorming piece, and then as you accomplish some of those things that you had at your brainstorming session, great ideas, those things that you put into practice, and then take notes on that and how that program went and how many people were there and all those different things. And then as you get to the end and closer to submitting the narrative, it's not as daunting, because, if you're not a writer, that narrative can be a little daunting. And so if you take notes and maybe even write paragraphs at that time of that event about that particular thing that you accomplished, then when you get to that narrative, it'll be a lot easier. And so that's a little bit of what we did, and especially the note taking. And I think that was key in writing the narrative, and it wasn't as daunting.
And I'll just reiterate that the Cobb Middle School PTA, that narrative rose to the top of hundreds of applicants. So listen to her when she gives you tips on how to make a great narrative, because that narrative, we had our past national PTA presidents look at those top narratives, and that was hand selected. So congratulations, that was awesome.
Well, thank you.
It was beautifully written, and you can see it on our website under the Hearst Award winners. And there'll be more recognition for Melinda and Cobb Middle this year, so stay tuned for that. But I will say here that you're not alone in this, and we've got experts here like Melinda and other folks who are willing to answer questions that you have, and we're already booking out some training. So if you visit pta.org/excellence tools, that online digital toolkit, you can see that there's other trainings already on the books. Our next training call in October 17th at 1 p.m. we'll talk about the next steps in the process. So this isn't the one and only time that you'll have to ask questions. We're here. If you email excellence@pta.org, we're here to answer any questions that you have throughout the program process. So you're not alone at all in this effort. We know it's a lot of work, but we've also heard that it's really well worth it. And that final step here, next step, celebrate your excellence. Our PTAs were just named, 143 schools of excellence were just named this year for their work that they did last year, and they received that 2-year School of Excellence designation. So the banner, the certificate, and all the celebration events that you can hold at the end to recognize all the work, the amazing work that you're doing, we believe that it's worth the effort. So here's a pretty picture of a PTA with their banner from the past, and we can open it up for questions. It looks like a few of them did come in, so I can just in the interest of time read a couple of them. So I'll just scroll up to the top here, and then if we have time, it looks like we can even open it up. So it looks like somebody had a hard time viewing and they were able to get on, so sorry about that. Hopefully you can see us again. This will be recorded. One PTA per resident asked if we can provide some talking points on why this program is important. That's from Chip. We have on our website, and I believe it's on the Excellence website, so pta.org/excellence. We have a FAQ guide that should answer some questions, some basic questions about the program and why it's important, a little bit about the steps. So take a look at that as a first step, and then we're happy to provide other talking points to you. So hopefully that frequently asked questions guide can help. Next up, someone asked, Julie asked, does the follow-up survey only go out to those who responded initially or back out to the whole community? And the answer there is that you want to provide your survey at the beginning of the school year and at the end of the school year to your entire school community. So we know that it's not an exact science. And we know that when you're reaching out in this way to get perceptions on family-school partnerships, that it's not an exact science. So that's why we want you to send it out to as many people in your school community as you can and get as many results back as you can. The more folks you engage, the better, and part of that engagement is actually getting those survey responses. So get as many of those out as you possibly can to your entire school community. If you want to see the narrative for Cobb Middle School, this is a question from Peter. It's at, I believe it's pta.org/Hearst. And if you click on this year's Hearst recipients, you'll see that narrative. And again, Cobb Middle received our Outstanding Hearst Award, and it's a beautifully written narrative. Just to note, though, we will, oh, I see he found it. Sorry about that. Just to note, we will be changing the question a little bit. So as you get to the final survey on our digital toolkit, you can see what's expected at the end of the school year. We're going to ask you to tell us what was the biggest accomplishment as taking part in the program. So instead of breaking it down into different things that you've done, we really want to try to tell a better story about what it is that you did. What was your greatest accomplishment as having taken part in the program? So there will be a little bit of a difference in how that narrative is crafted. This is a great question. I have a question here that says, what percentage of time is the PTA board spending on School of Excellence versus other PTA operations? Melinda, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that as a PTA board, you are already doing many of these things. And so if your focus is to increase family engagement, then it really aligns with what you're already doing. So you're not really spending more time on the School of Excellence. You are just really working with your board to accomplish the same goals. And so I would say, you know, maybe the brainstorming meeting and a couple of those things, and the survey part, and really that is not as time consuming as actually working towards the goals of family engagement and providing programs to your school, or interacting with your community and your membership and that kind of thing. And so I think it really just goes hand in hand, truly. I don't think it's that much extra work. You know, yes, the narrative is a little bit of work, and yes, submitting the survey results and telling those, yes, but
Uh-oh. I think we just muted Melinda there for a second. Sorry, let's see. Are you back, Melinda?
I'm here. Yep.
All right, sorry about that. Cut you off for a second at the end.
Okay. I'm good. I finished.
Okay.
I don't know where I stopped talking. So,
And I'll add to that you know, we found this program, the School of Excellence program, that the goal of this program is to reach PTAs of all shapes and sizes, regardless of numbers, regardless of resources. This is a school improvement program. So we have some PTAs who are doing a million things based on the recommendations that we provide. We have other PTAs who really are just tackling 1 or 2 initiatives throughout the school year. So really, it's going to be up to you, your PTA team, your membership, what it looks like, what you want to accomplish for your school. So we really do, you know, encourage you to pick one focus area to really identify and work on throughout the school year, with support from us. So again, that roadmap to excellence will provide some tips and tools and resources and information from our program partners to help start guiding your work. And hopefully that's a valuable resource to you. But every PTA is going to have a different plan in place in terms of what they want to accomplish, in alignment with best practices in family engagement. So hopefully that it really does, you know, we've seen a small group of people make tremendous change, but we know that the more folks you have to help you out here, the more you will accomplish. I'm seeing a couple more questions coming in, so if it's okay, we'll just keep going. Yep, I just saw a question. This is a great question from Florida about the hurricane and what's happening. So you know, I encourage, if you're in Florida, I don't see a name here, but feel free to email me directly, excellence@pta.org. If you are, you know, impacted by the hurricane, there's something going on, just communicate, reach out to us. Let's see what we can do, what your timeline looks like. If schools are closed, of course, that's going to set back the timeline. And National PTA is, you know, thinking about everybody who's been impacted by the storm. So we wouldn't want that to be a barrier. Just reach out to me, excellence@pta.org. And I see another question here about, well, hold on, let me see. I'm sorry. I'm trying to read and answer at the same time. Yes. We got a question here about some initiatives that the PTA already wanted to take part in and to do as part of their work. And, you know, I would say, based on Melinda's response and what we've seen, it can absolutely tie into the School of Excellence plan and the things that you're doing, as long as it's based in those national standards and the work that you're doing towards family engagement. So you might have a great goal and objective for your PTA already in mind. I just will encourage you to try to be open. Your survey that you deploy and get back may just showcase something else that you want to work on. And hopefully they're aligned, but it could be that your school community is seeing something very different than what your PTA has in store for the school year. So just be open, listen to those survey results, analyze those survey results, talk about it, and make sure that the work that you're doing is in alignment with your school community needs as well as our national standards. I hope that answers your question. I got a question about the toolkit. Our digital toolkit can be accessed at pta.org/excellence tools. As part of the program, as enrollees in the program, you should have received several communications, several emails about that already. If you have not gotten those emails, please reach out at excellence@pta.org. I've also tried to get those kind of mass emails from communications@pta.org on our toolkit, so you can see what kind of communication has gone out. We are technically still in the enrollment period, so we are accepting enrollment through October 1st. We might have people enroll in the last minute. So kudos to you for enrolling early and getting the survey started early, because you'll have more time to really think about those survey results, analyze those results, and start putting together your plan for the school year. All right, I don't see any more questions coming in. I think we've got them all. Melinda, do you have anything to add to what I said, or what questions have come in?
No, I think everything's covered.
Okay, I'm just going to see here if there's any hand raisers or any questions. I might even try. I was having trouble with my unmuting. See if I could unmute everybody. But that doesn't seem to be working, so I apologize for that. Any other questions, please put them into the question box for now. And I'll just give that another minute. See if you have any questions, go ahead and write them down in that question box on your screen. And let me just check those questions, see if they've come through. I hope everybody was able to access the slides and able to hear. Yep, I just saw another question come in about from Erica. Is there a maximum number? So there is no minimum or maximum number of surveys that you put out or put back or get back. But we again highly encourage that you get this survey out to as many people and get it back from as many people as you possibly can. We found that if you don't get a lot of survey responses back, your work might not be aligned with your school needs, and you might not be able to showcase all the work that you've done at the end of the school year. So if you have a large school community and you're only getting back a small number of responses, you might have done all this work, but then your school community isn't able to show and say what they see the work has done for your school. So the more people you get to answer those surveys, we find the higher the results, the better the results of the work that to showcase the work that you've done. And that's our measure here at National PTA at the end of the program. That's what we're going to look at. We're going to look at the progress that those surveys have made along with your supporting narrative to see if perceptions on family engagement have improved throughout the school year, as well as the narrative and what you've done. So make sure you get that survey out to as many people as you can. Another question, how many questions can we add to the survey? That's really up to you. The more questions you ask, the more, the more you'll be looking at as a team. So just keep that in mind that, National PTA is only looking at the results for those 20 questions, but we recognize and realize that every school is unique and different. So, if you've got specific questions that you didn't find were asked in those surveys, we know the beginning of the school year is a great opportunity to get feedback, and some PTAs are already doing this. Some schools are already doing their own survey. Feel free to attach it to the questions that you already have. Let me just double check one more time. I think I got them all. Let me just make sure, scroll down to the bottom. It's a little funny here. And again, I think this is Erica. It says, how many questions can we add to the 20 that you provide? As many as you want. So we'll only be looking at the results of that 20, but feel free to ask your own questions. My only thought is the more questions you ask, the more your families may not, they might say, oh my gosh, this is a 100-question survey. I might not answer this. So try to keep that in mind and make it as easy for your school community to get back to you as possible. But we'll be looking at the results of those 20 questions. All right, I'm going to just leave the questions open here for another second. I see some people are dropping off the call, so I guess that's the sign that we're nearing the end here. I'm sorry I was unable to unmute you all, but I'll leave you with this slide that has our contact information. So I'm here. My name is Amy Weinberg. I'm managing the program this school year, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Email excellence@pta.org so that we can answer any questions that you might have throughout the school year. And please do visit our toolkit at pta.org/excellence tools. pta.org/excellence tools. We look forward to working with you, and hopefully you have lots of wonderful plans in place for the school year, and we're so happy to be working with you. And thanks again to Melinda, who I may or may not have muted. Sorry, I'm having trouble here. Thank you, Melinda, and thank you everybody for tuning in. This webinar will be recorded and put on our toolkit soon. Thanks a lot, everybody, and have a wonderful afternoon.